Hello friends, my name is Emile, and welcome back to another edition of the Hot Lap Classic. This time taking a look at the 1998 Toyota Altezza RS200. This car was requested by a lonely wolf. Now, the Altezza RS200, there's quite a few different versions of this car in this game. There's this version, there's a Tom's version, and there's the Lexus IS200 as well. And all of them have sort of these bespoke race mods that look kind of cool. This one's probably my favourite of all of them though. This sort of one-make race series Altezza tribal-ish design looks kind of cool. Comes in loads of colours as well, which is pretty sweet. Anyways, front-engine rear-wheel drive, 414 horsepower, 1,144 kilograms, a fair amount of torque as well. Statistically, this car should actually be pretty darn decent, and hopefully a lot better than the Cosmo from last time. Anyways, it is going to have 6 laps of the Motorsports Land track to set the best time it possibly can. Our current leader is a Suzuki Coulter Pikes Peak Edition, which set a time of 28.209, which the Altezza isn't going to go anywhere near. But it'll be interesting to see sort of where the Altezza places. If it's good, it could go into sort of the upper mid-card of our field, and if it's bad, then yeah, I'll be kind of surprised, because the Altezza's usually a solid choice. Ooh, God. Took a little bit too much grass there. But yeah, the Altezza's Lexus IS300, IS200, whatever you call this car in your neck of the woods. These are usually pretty decent cars to use in games. They're pretty well balanced. Usually they have, you know, they're pretty good beginners cars. To be honest with you, and you know, even in real life, you know, if you want to, they're a pretty expendable platform. You know, you can build drift cars out of these things, you can build race cars out of these things. You can do quite a lot with an IS200. It also helps that, unless I don't think the actually, I think the IS300 has like a variant of a 2J. Ooh, God, you know, these engines are usually pretty decent as well. Seems like a bit of an odd car to drive this one. It's one of those that on track it feels fine. As soon as you sort of clip a curb or something, it does get a little bit sort of confused. It also, when you go on the brakes and turn into a corner, the rear end kind of wants to come around on you, which is a little bit of an interesting quirk, certainly. This one is turbo swapped. I'm probably gonna use NA tuning on the IS200 in case you were curious. So the Lexus is probably going to be naturally aspirated and this is going to be turbo, because otherwise they'd be basically the same car. 32.658 on its first sort of real lap run without any spins or calamities. Pretty decent time. That does put it sort of in the mid-pack-ish. Our mid-pack is around, you know, the early 32s, late 31s. That's where most cars go on our leaderboard. So that's a decent enough time. That sort of, I would kind of like to get this thing to go a little bit quicker. You know, statistically this thing should be eating cars like the Honda Accord alive. However, the issue the Altezza has is its rear-wheel drive. And, well, sure, a lot of people scream for the omens of rear-wheel drive and say how mighty rear-wheel drive is. On a course like this, you need four-wheel or front-wheel drive, basically, because the rear-wheel drive cars don't. The rear-wheel drive cars are a very mixed bag around here. Some of them do exceptionally well. I'm not actually sure what our fastest rear-wheel drive car is. I will have to have a look, because I'd be kind of curious to see. But, you know, you look at our leaderboard and what springs to mind to you, it's all-wheel drive cars towards the top of the board. You know, there isn't too many rear-wheel drive cars swinging around the top. Usually the rear-wheel drive cars are sort of in the lower mid-pack. I believe the fastest rear-wheel drive car we might have had maybe the Eureka Viper, although I'm not 100% sure, or the Super GT. I keep cutting that like that, and I need to stop because that's the only place in this course where it penalises you for doing that. But there we go. You sort of have to be really careful around that, because otherwise it will cock you up. But yeah, a 32.658, certainly not a bad showing from the Altezza. you know, the actual lap it got that on as well wasn't a particularly terrible lap either. I think there is some more time to be made up in the Altezza, but, you know, unfortunately, it's just not quite got the sort of drivetrain you need for a course like this. It's not as well set up and as well balanced as some other cars, but still, certainly not a bad car. Let's go see where it places on our leaderboard. Onto the board then, and the Toyota Altezza RS200 goes into 37th place with a 32.658, beating out the Nissan 200SX and the Suzuki Wagon RRRR, losing out slightly to the Mercedes-Benz A160 and Spoon Civic Type R. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Hot Lap Classic. If you have cars you'd like to request for the series, you can do so in the comment section and go into the description for a full request list form. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, farewell.